Hello and welcome to your in-depth horoscope forecast for September. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. That means every time I release a video, you'll get an alert. Now also, if you'd like to ascend above Zodiac sign astrology and embrace natal astrology based on your time, date and place of birth, please check out my special offer of a 12-month forecast and a character analysis and get 30% off. Please see the link beneath this video for more information. Hello Aries and welcome to your in-depth forecast for September. Now the month begins with the Sun in the part of your horoscope that's all to do with practicalities, and there is in fact a new moon in this sector on the 7th. But in the first 10 days of the month, the Sun's going to be angling up in a really positive way with Uranus. Now Uranus has created quite a lot of mischief this year, possibly around your resources, but this gives you an opportunity to be much more enterprising and change things in a way which embraces your flair but also gives you tangible results. So what's not to like? This can be really helpful. But also Mercury and Venus, the two relating planets, are in your opposite side, and Venus is at home. So Venus in the sign of Libra really can bring out your ability to network, to link to others in a very positive way. But also it's true that from the 3rd through to the 7th, Venus is forging a very constructive tie-up with Saturn in your sector of friendship and the longer term future. So if you do forge any alliances across those days, I think they can turn out to be very good for you. The ironic thing, however, is that we also have a really challenging influence from the 3rd to the 9th between Venus and Pluto. So if anyone's offering you something that seems to have some kind of catch, you may need to resist. But if you really want to make progress and have plenty of energy and drive something forwards, also across the first 10 days, there is a terrific angle between your ruler, Mars, and Pluto. So Pluto can be a good guy for you, a more challenging guy in this first period of the month. But certainly Mars, along with the Sun, in the very hard working 6th house, can give you a desire to see those tangible results, to be as productive as possible, and to work jolly hard. Now on the 10th, Venus is going to be moving into the sign of Scorpio. Now for you, this can trigger some kind of improvement around your finances, and it could be linked to a partnership, personal, practical, business-wise, or maybe some kind of investment that's linked to a relationship can come back to you in a very helpful way. For example, perhaps you invested in a property with somebody else, and there could be some kind of return that you get from the 10th onwards. Now week 3 also sees the Sun in a very dynamic trine with Pluto. So both Mars, your ruler's trine with Pluto, and the Sun later in the month is going to give you the ability to move mountains with your bare hands. And of course, when you really decide on a target that inspires you, you can be a phenomenally motivated person. So there's every chance you can demonstrate that part of your nature this month. But it is true to say that on the 15th, well, we have Mars, your ruler, moving into Libra to join up initially with Mercury. But Mars in the sign of Libra is in detriment. And so there can be a potential to try a little bit too hard about relationships. But I like to see things in a positive way. So this is your opportunity to really decide that you want to take your relationship situation in your world that much more seriously. So if you're single but you've been hankering over meeting someone, I feel that this last phase of the month can see you moving away from more everyday issues around work and health and working hard and being enterprising, and you're thinking much more about how you can link with others. But there is a little bit of a potential complication that begins on the 19th, because Mercury then goes into shadow. Now it's actually going to go into retrograde on the 27th. So we have an 8-day period where things might not work quite as sweetly in terms of your interactions with others. And therefore, for all of us, Mercury joins all those outer planets that are already in retrograde. So we're going to have the Saturn, Uranus, Pluto and Neptune all in retrograde, and they're going to be joined on the 27th by Mercury. But Mercury going into shadow sees it slow down, and in your sector of relating means it's critical that you do work hard at keeping things clear about the ins and outgoings around any exchanges that you have. Now on the 20th we do have a full moon in Pisces. It's quite late in Pisces this, so it's forging a broad sextile to Pluto, which can be positive. So Pluto can really give you a lot of drive this month. It could be a bit naughty around a relationship matter early on when it's in that square with Venus. But I think this particular full moon is just asking you to balance the practical and the everyday elements of your situation with the more emotional and spiritual ones. And when it comes to your health, don't deny, if you're feeling weary, for example, that it could have an emotional source to it. Don't see things only in everyday physical terms. However, on the 22nd, we have a really big moment in the whole year, because then we have the autumn equinox, the sun moves into Libra, and we enter the third quadrant of the year, the third cardinal quadrant, because Libra is a cardinal sign like yours, so it's very much about initiation, about leadership, and it's asking us all to think, obviously, in the sign of Libra, about relationships, but also how we present things. You know, Libran energy can be very much to do with fashion and design and trends, and all those areas could really inspire you over the next 12 weeks. But in week 3, Venus does go into an opposition with Uranus, so there could be some unexpected expenses, or you could find yourself drawn towards somebody who's very different to you, and that can make your pulse race quicker. And with Mars in your 7th house, maybe you're going to be the one who just steps outside your comfort zone and is a bit bolder around your relationship choices. And in the last 2 weeks of the month, Mercury is also squaring up to Pluto. So not only is it in shadow, then going into retrograde, it also squares with Pluto. So that can be quite challenging. So important not to try too hard to persuade people that our view of the world is the only view of the world. And avoid unnecessary squabbles and arm wrestles over things that aren't absolutely essential, and you'll sail through that. So essentially this can be a month of big opportunities around reforming the everyday reality of your situation, but also later on much more about relationships. And if you are single, somebody really attractive or alluring can take your fancy in the last phase of the month. But also in more settled relationships, it could be a time when you have to deal with some of the politics between you and the other person, and that may mean adjusting or flexing and being a little bit more aware of how other people see your stance on things, and not taking it too personally if it's not always the same world view as yourself.